Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Detox show. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolfe, and today's show is Calcium Ion Therapy and Autoimmune Diseases with Jay Lee. Listen, if you'd like to learn more about SAC Ionic Calcium, please go to our SAC Ionic Calcium guide in the library at docofdetox.com, and you will find a great selection of shows on conditions such as advanced water fasting, arthritis, cancer part 1 and 2, diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases, nutrition, infectious diseases, and heart disease. Understand something. You may not have been on any of my shows before, but buckle up, because we're going to be talking today truly about what I believe is the biggest nutritional scientific breakthrough in the last 75 to 100 years, okay, in therapy and helping to restore the immune system, helping to restore autoimmunity in the body. In 2009, Dr. Paul Lee invented sigma antibonding calcium in efforts to make a better biological calcium. When his friend fully recovered from the last stage of prostate cancer with colon metastasis, only with SAC. Intensive research on SAC began, leading to the discovery of its amazing effects on many degenerative diseases such as osteoporosis, Parkinson's, and autoimmune diseases from A to Z. So I want everyone to understand something. New and improved? It's usually not. But this is truly a scientific nutritional breakthrough. So let's begin the show. Good day, Jay. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Dr. Wolfe. Thank you for inviting me again. I'm excited to be here. And today we're going to talk about autoimmune disease.
Absolutely. And you know what? Autoimmune disease is so huge. And when people realize that autoimmune disease, because what does it mean? It means attacking oneself. It means that the body has lost proper communication. Something has gone wrong. Look at, how does it feel to not to be able to communicate with your loved ones, or how does that feel? It's disruptive. Well, what happens when your body can no longer communicate? I think, Jay, you could probably tell that story pretty good, eh?
Yeah, we'll do. It's all about communication. As we grow older, there's something happening to our body that really inhibits the proper communication. Most basic communication that our body uses in the cellular level is calcium oscillation. It's a calcium ion signaling. But what happens is, as we age, as our bones are emptying out, we get weaker and weaker bones. A lot of people end up with osteopenia and osteoporosis. All the calcium that's coming out from your bone is actually accumulated in cellular level and causes mitochondrial dysfunction, oxidative stress, and most importantly, it causes calcium signaling disruption. That's where all the communication breaks down. And once you actually go down to the root cause of all these degenerative diseases, you will find it right there, disrupted calcium signaling. So Dr. Wolfe, I'm going to be talking about that today, how it's going to really affect the way that our immune system responds, right? Our immune system shouldn't be attacking our own tissue. But why is it happening? There's something wrong with communication. And more research is finding out that it has to do with the disruption of calcium signaling.
And doesn't that usually start? It starts in the mind first, because understand something. Thought form creates physical form, but just as a thought is an invisible thing, it's a very powerful thing. And just as a calcium ion is totally invisible, it's the most important thing to help you to regain that relationship where your body communicates properly. Because understand something, the wrong signaling, and guess what that's called? It's called dis-ease. What do you think, Jay?
Definitely. I mean, the way that our body is made is incredible. I mean, to this day, and we're finding out more and more about all this sort of communication that's happening, right? And even our small cells communicate with such precise signals that even slight alteration of that is going to be causing, I guess, the big symptoms they've experienced, including whether it's Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, any other neurodegenerative diseases, metabolic syndrome. All of that is caused by this slight disruption of this signals that our eyes can't see, right?
And if I can say something, everyone, and this might be a little bit off topic, but the reality is it's all about frequency. And what the ion does, the calcium ion does, is it has a frequency that helps to regulate and balance over 100,000 chemical and hormonal processes in the body. But I bet what you didn't know is that the bacteria that are living in your body, they also use the ion signaling calcium to communicate. And what you also didn't know is that, guess what? The bacteria in your large intestine, they did call it the second brain, but now they're calling it the first brain. And understand something. That first brain, those bacteria, they need those ions because they communicate so much information to your brain. And guess what? Your bacteria talk 9 times to your brain, where your brain only talks 1 time to the bacteria. They're creating so much information to send to the brain to then help to regulate hormones and chemicals. But it's the ion from calcium that actually helps almost all the communication everywhere, right down to the cellular level, down to the bacterial level. Every organism in the body operates off of this. AJ?
Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, that's why I'm so excited to talk about how ionic calcium can really help to restore health of those who are suffering from autoimmune disease. Especially nowadays, we know that over 100 degenerative diseases are attributed to some form of autoimmunity. So, and I'd just like to say that so many people who've tried the therapy have been really helped. So I guess I'm going to just roll in and just give you some, facts about autoimmune disease. Sometimes it runs in families, and definitely a female gets more than male, especially African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans are actually getting more autoimmune diseases, and so many, millions and millions are having it already. But the thing is that even though the symptoms can be very debilitating, it's really hard to diagnose it as autoimmune disease. And that is the harder part. Until you're diagnosed with autoimmune disease, you probably have to go from one doctor to another because nowadays a lot of medical world is just based on looking at the symptoms. But autoimmune disease actually goes way deeper than just symptoms. Over 100 different types, and some doctors say even more than this: multiple sclerosis, leukemia, lupus, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative colitis, and diabetes type 1, right? Neuropathy and fibromyalgia, vitiligo, eczema, psoriasis, and rheumatoid arthritis, thyroiditis. All these things are related to autoimmune disease. And you probably know someone who, close to you suffering from this, because so many are actually suffering from these. I'd like to just start out by sharing one good testimony. Here is a patient with multiple sclerosis for years and could not even walk without a walker. 62-year-old female from Canada. And she suffered about 10 years, and she tried so many different treatments. And finally, because none of them really helped, she turned to Eastern therapies, including acupuncture. And she tried for 6 months without much success until the acupuncturist actually recommended try ionic calcium therapy. And after taking it, she immediately started to feel better and feeling lighter, and started to walk without using a walker, right? So that's good testimony. And here you can see here that this is eczema case. Tried everything. The doctor prescribed steroid cream that didn't really help. But then this is what she said: after taking Maragen, it just healed by itself completely, right? So I'd like to give you a quick recap of what ionic calcium is. Ionic calcium is the only physiologically active form of calcium in our body. Our body just uses calcium in ionic form. the muscle heart contraction and stem cell regulation. It's a neurotransmitter, cycle messenger, hormone secretion, enzyme activation, depends heavily on ionic calcium signaling, and also how your immune system responds. All has to do with ionic calcium signaling, right? And all the cellular processes you can see here, it depends on ionic calcium, okay? It also plays a leading role in regulating other mineral functions in our body. So if you have this ionic calcium level off, then you can't expect other minerals to work correctly either. But the problem is that as we grow older, we live more sedentary lifestyle, which does not really stress our bones. And the thing is that our bone needs to be stressed in order for us to really utilize protein calcium as ionic calcium. So there are two, right? Protein calcium and ionic calcium. Our body only uses ionic calcium. But what is protein calcium? Well, that's actually a form of calcium that you put into your system through diet, eating food, and also through supplementation. It doesn't matter what kind of supplements you get. It's all going to come into your system as protein calcium, but it is not something that your body can utilize right away. It's more like a standby calcium. As you can see here, astronauts in space, they lose 14 to 30% bone mass in a 6-month stay in the space station because there's no gravity up there and the bones are not stressed. Same thing happens as we grow older because we like to lounge around, become less active, and also a lot of stress and other things that makes your body acidic. Your calcium is utilized to neutralize it. So you're in ionic calcium shortage, right? So your body reaches out to your bones and break down your bones to get that needed ionic calcium. So this is how regular calcium intake looks like. It's called active transport, where you need digestion, and also you need the help of a peptide and vitamin D to bring this calcium into your system as protein-bound calcium, which is standby calcium. So it could be that you're getting enough calcium in your system, it's just that you're not able to utilize it. So your body still needs that ionic calcium, so it reaches out to your bones. After age 35 and 40 and 50, you will realize that your bone mass is going down the hill, because your bodies keep reaching out to your skeleton bone to get that needed ionic calcium. But when that happens, it's dangerous because it takes phosphorus out from your bone as well, and it increases the calcification factor. So your body is in constant calcification mode. That means calcium is starting to accumulate in your cellular level as well, not just bones, not just joints, not just soft tissue, but in cellular level. That's what's causing mitochondrial dysfunction. That's what's causing the oxidative stress that damages DNA and RNA and all the proteins. This is what happens. That's why later on you get autoimmune response as well, because your cell is breaking down, and because all the calcification of the cell breaks down ionic calcium signaling, your cell is doing the wrong stuff. Folding proteins in the other way, and the transcription takes place in the wrong places, and you're ending up with all this garbage, a mutation, right? That's going to lead you into degenerative diseases, including cancer, right? And what happens if these cells are broken down, and then now it looks like more like a foreign material because it's your own cell, but your cell has accumulated enough mutations to be presented as a foreign material, and then your cells, your immune cells, including T cells and B cells, they respond in a way, kind of presenting these, the mutated nuclear substance, and produces antibodies for it, because these things go and stick everywhere in your organ, and your body starts to attack it. Right? So your body tries to maintain a good amount of calcium in ionic form. About 50% has to be in ionic form because it's needed for every process in your body. And if your body cannot utilize protein calcium that well, then it's going to reach out to your bones. But for the first time, we have actually invented ionic calcium delivery system. That means we are able to now deliver calcium in the ionic form, which our body can recognize and use right away, to turn on cascade of hormonal responses that can bring in huge healing potential, our body's natural healing potential. right? And your body just needs a threshold amount, about 5 to 8 milligrams of calcium in ionic form to trigger these responses from pituitary gland to thyroid and start strong osteoblasts to rebuild bone. And when that bone building process happens again, then it's going to start clear up all the calcification all throughout your body, including 60 trillion cells. And this is how it looks like. It looks similar to regular calcium carbonate, but that it employs very weak antibonding. So the molecule still has electrical charge and works together with the hydrogen bonding of water and goes in with water without actually going through digestion and help of vitamin D and peptides. You can see here, it's a very weak bonding compared to all the other the calcium that you find in nature, which has very strong bonding. That's why you need strong stomach acid and peptide and help of vitamin D to bring into your system as standby protein bound calcium. But this is how SAC calcium is absorbed. It's ionic form, and this goes in as ionic form, right? Through just diffusion and osmotic pressure. As you can see, it's 200 times more soluble, and it's actually 3 times more active in chemical reaction. As you can see, the result of that breakdown is just oxygen and carbon dioxide and ionic calcium, which our body knows what to do. So even though this is man-made in its application, it is all natural because only natural substance enters your body. It lasts about 4 hours in your system, but then while this is taking place, it really starts massive osteoblast that could initiate bone building and just decalcification all throughout your body, including cellular level, to restore mitochondrial function, reduce oxidative stress, and also restore calcium signaling, which is the most important. So don't confuse this with calcium supplementation. You're only providing calcium, very small amount, but then enough for our body to bring this kind of healing potential. And we have done an animal study, and we found out that it's about 100 times more effective in building your bone. We did the bone building test as well as bone fracture test to find that it's building really strong bone. And we have tons of these volunteer bone measurements before and after, and we had experienced significant bone building in a relatively very short period of time. And something like this we have never seen before. But then Calcium and Bone Health Institute have done this, and currently we're doing partnering with universities to really come up with a research study, which is currently going on and should be published in a few years. But while this is happening, you can see here how decalcification takes place. You can see that this calcific tendonitis case where there's calcium deposit, but it's completely removed, and of course the pain disappeared as well. And in healing a bone fracture it's very fast and it's complete healing. But the most important thing is actually calcification happening cellular level. Before I told you how it could cause mitochondrial dysfunction, oxidative stress, and disruption of calcium signaling. And Dr. Thomas Levy, who is the expert, and he wrote a book called Death by Calcium. He says, based on all the other research out there, that it's chronic loss of calcium from our bones, right? That is calcifying our body all over. And this is responsible for all the diseases. And here's another research supporting and says that such subtle dysregulation of calcium signals have been linked to some of the major diseases in humans, such as cardiac disease, schizophrenia, bipolar, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular, metabolic syndrome, all that. So here's a quick recap. Cellular calcification causes oxidative stress, calcium signaling breakdown, mitochondrial dysfunction, cellular inflammation. And this leads to degenerative diseases that accompany chronic inflammation, right, which causes more calcification. Right? And because inflammation is immune response, that's where also autoimmune response takes place. So we have people, usually as we age, it's category A, calcification happens, you end up with degenerative diseases. let's say you're a really health conscious person, you have good diet and exercise, and you may be utilizing more protein calcium, but you're delaying this process 5, 10, 15 years, you're going to eventually end up there because your bone mass is going to go down and calcification is going to increase. And right now, with ionic calcium therapy, you can have strong thyroid-led bone building, which clears calcification and could even cause decalcification at cellular level and reverse these degenerative diseases. With autoimmunity, we do have research out there that says that after trauma, immune response comes, right? And then a lot of that through, I guess, this immune pathway leads to autoimmunity. It says here that a wide array of health problems, including chronic pain, obesity, ADD, right, peripheral neuropathy, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, migraines, thyroid issues, and dental issues, all these, including cancer, are all rooted in inflammation. But you know the inflammation is immune response, right? A lot of things are happening there that could lead to autoimmune response. And then it could actually goes all the way around too. The autoimmune response causes inflammation, and it triggers this whole downward spiral as well. Right? Current treatment options doesn't look that good. I mean, it focuses on reducing inflammation, and also it reduces overactive immune activity. So you're taking all these medications, but I guess one that is really most prescribed is glucocorticoids, steroids. But then a lot of people already know that what kind of side effects it could cause, right? Memory loss, dementia, confusion, cognitive function declining, and panic attacks, psychosis, and insomnia, and the cases of people committing suicide because of this increases blood pressure and triglycerides and glucose level, cholesterol, and auto water retention, and osteoporosis, actually, right? You're losing more calcium from the bone and causes more calcification. I mean, there are some alternative treatments to this. I mean, herbs and hypnosis and acupuncture and all of that. But let me show you interesting studies. All these are kind of rolling out. Let's look at, for example, lupus, right? So we're going to look at lupus. Let's say you're getting, there are many different causes of lupus. It could be UV rays, bacteria, virus, and all of that. But then, let's say cell undergoing apoptosis. Let's say you're getting the UV rays under your skin, and then it starts undergoing apoptosis. It's a cell suicide. But this process leaves this molecular debris, which acts as antigens. The immune cells respond by producing these anti-nuclear antibodies. So in a way, you can see here that apoptosis, which is the natural process of eliminating damaged cells to be replaced with healthy cells, something has gone wrong here, right? And then somehow all these debris, the broken cells, are inviting immune response as if our body has been responding to the foreign material. And these antigen antibodies can go and it sticks to kidney, skin, joints, heart, right? Causes local inflammatory reactions, which leads to also autoimmune response as well. So let me share this one research. It shows how calcium and cell functions of B and T lymphocytes, and these are the ones that are really involved in adaptive immune response. By the way, this is how calcium signaling looks like. Right? As you can see here, very complex signaling, right? And using amplitude modulation and frequency modulation, this is how precisely our cells are communicating. And when these cells are not communicating properly because of the calcification happening at cellular level, then your cells are producing stuff that is actually foreign to your natural body, right? So this is what this research says. In the case of T and B lymphocytes, these signals give rise to multiple changes in intracellular DNA expression with a consequent production of various inflammatory markers. Research in this area also has established the importance of calcium ion pathways in the development of autoimmune diseases, both due to overproduction as well as inactivity. So it's linking the disruption of calcium signaling to development of autoimmune diseases and how T cell and B cell, the way it reacts to this, all of that depends on calcium signaling as well. So signaling through intracellular calcium ion has been implicated in the pathogenesis of autoimmune and even congenital immunodeficiencies. Okay? So whether it's a lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, all of that related in their pathophysiology by the presence of autoreactive T and B cells that contribute in the generation of inflammatory process. There's another research this deals with multiple sclerosis, and it says same things. In multiple sclerosis, they found that there is a reorganization and altered gene expression of different ion channels. And these ion channel deformities actually happen when there is changes of the ion activity. And most important one is calcium ion and ionic calcium channels, right? And that is all altered because of the signaling disruption that's happened because of heavy calcification in all the calcium reservoirs within our cells. So it says here, multiple sclerosis may be defined as a member of the group of channelopathies, disorders in which abnormal ion channel function leads to the appearance of clinical signs and symptoms, right? So that's why it says these diseases can be further subdivided into genetic autoimmune, right, channelopathies. So more and more of these research is coming out. Here's another research that says targeting ion channels for the treatment of autoimmune neuroinflammation. And here's another research that shows how that there's indications for disturbance in calcium homeostasis multiple sclerosis patients, contribution to MS pathogenesis. Okay. So before autoimmune response happens, there is actually disruption of ionic calcium signaling. And guess what? This happens when your bones are breaking down, right? And why, you may wonder, why are women getting it more? Of course, it's related to estrogen, the hormone, but then think about it. Estrogen does what, right? Women lose, through the menopause, more bone density than men. So if you actually look at the bone loss graph of men and women, you'll find out that women has actually a steeper dip after age 35 and 40, right, losing bone mass quickly. And all of that is contributing to cellular calcification that disrupts the all the calcium signaling that's happening in cellular level, right? So here is one good testimony that I can share, right? Here is a person who has worked in a doctor's office for 25 years and found out that the doctor's wife actually had really painful and debilitating arthritis in her hands. And after taking Cardigan for some time, that her condition improved so much. And she tried so many different things that didn't really help her, but it was actually SAC that really helped her. So she actually saw that and then and brought SAC for her daughter who had Crohn's disease. And she said she has never seen that much life in her daughter before. After taking, I guess, SAC, she felt so much better. And here's another patient with rheumatoid arthritis. She had it about 10 years. And then she tried everything. The fingers were bent and the knee pain was unbearable. And the toe could not touch the ground because it was so painful. But then after introduced to Cardigan and with SAC, and took it only for 2 weeks, and pain subsided dramatically and able to walk. And we had actually had patients with crooked fingers and able to function normally, right? And here is Meniere's disease. It's an autoimmune response. Had tinnitus and all the vertigo and couldn't really function at all, right? Could not really go out and This person was at the bedridden, and it's like ceilings, all the surrounding begins to spin, and she would throw up. He would throw up, but then after introduced to SAC, all of that got better. So we can see that how, even though it is not really targeting the symptoms, it really goes into the cellular level, where all the cell functions are restored and the immune responses is restored, and it stops the disease on its path, right? Let's talk about the correlation between cellular calcification and autoimmunity. So this is what we talked about. Cellular calcification leads to oxidative stress that destroys DNA, RNA, and proteins, leading to cellular inflammation, and also, of course, inflammation around the cells, right? And this damage, right? All this damage is happening in the cells. These are what is really causing autoimmune response, as well as all the wrong responses coming from T cell and B cell. And lastly, I'd like to share with you the severe inflammation case, because autoimmune response has to do with inflammation. You can see here how this is actually the COVID case, where the patient was taken into the hospital after the nucleic test was positive, and with very severe case. You can see here in the blood test about a 1 month period of time, and how the inflammatory markers are dropping drastically, right? And then finally the nucleic acid test was positive and was discharged. And cases like this, we had the COVID cases or asthma cases, all those inflammation responding very well with SAC. And this anti-inflammatory, the property of SAC can really help patients with autoimmune disease to feel better, and not further fuel autoimmune response as well. So here's a product that we use for that. It was Marogen, which is the strongest product. And Dr. Wolfe, back to you.
Absolutely, Jay. Thank you so much. So everybody, we know that our immunity is an important thing. So there's only two ways to look at it. You're either, focused on internal immunity, which is your immune system, or you're focused on your external world, which means you're always triggering your adrenal system. So why am I bringing this up? Well, this is a very stressful period for everyone. And just don't know this, that if you can't find peace and still and calm, then you are going to have more holes in your bones and in your immune system than you can shake a stick at. And I'll tell you something, and I mean this, besides my daily cleansing tea, there's not another product that's more important than SAC calcium. And if it's affordable, you want to take Marogen, okay? I consider myself to be in good health, maybe great health, I don't know. But the reality is I definitely don't compare myself to the average 65-year-old person, that's for sure. The reality is that your health could be so much better, and do not compare yourself to anybody else your age, because the majority of the population has an autoimmune disease. And that's the reality, because they don't know how to master their minds, and they definitely don't know how to master their body. But I will tell you this much, that if you can afford to get on Marogen, that is the one that I would be on and stay on. And the reality is, I know that I have great bones. I know, because I've been doing Marogen now for 2 years. When I did Marogen, I was doing Marogen for 3 to 4 times a day. Now I'm doing it twice a day. I'm not saying that you can afford it or can't afford it, so understand that. But the reality is, it takes over so many other products. You have no idea. You may think that you're deficient in this nutrient, and all these cofactors that everybody talks about. But wait till you start taking the Marogen and finding out what you really don't need. Because we know that the calcium ion is the most important, okay? The most important, okay? We can't call it a nutrient, but it's a frequency, because everything is regulated in our body by frequencies. No matter what you eat, what you drink, what you think, the only thing that's left behind is the frequency. We are light energy electromagnetic beings, and I'm telling you that the SAC ion is probably the most important frequency that you're going to put into your body on a daily basis when it comes to the conditions that Jay was just talking about, or basically any condition from A to Z. Whether you're talking about the tip of your nose to the bottom of your toes, all right, this product is doing it. So do your homework, because listen, everyone, we have done so many shows for you, okay? All right? We've done so many shows, and you're going to find all these up in our library, okay? You're going to find, let me just go over it. So if you would like to learn more about SAC Ionic Calcium, please go to the SAC Ionic Calcium Guide in our library at thedocofdetox.com. And what are you going to find there? Well, you're going to find advanced water fasting. You have no idea what calcium ions, SAC calcium ions, are going to do for your fast. Okay? I have seen miracles happen with people. Fasting is a miracle, but when you do advanced water fasting by using the SAC, we're talking about 10,000 times the power. And reducing symptoms as you get well. You know, people go through healing reactions all the time. Well, this product helps to reduce healing reactions so that you stay on track with your healing protocol. You're also going to find videos in there such as cancer, part 1 and 2, diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases, nutrition, infectious diseases, and heart disease. Jay, what would you like to add before we wrap this up?
Sure. You know, we're, I guess, living through a very stressful time. There's a reason why the study finds that after trauma or a very stressful time, people end up with autoimmune disease. It's because your body produces stress hormones, and that's what makes your body very acidic. And to combat that, your body is going to break down the bones and release a lot of ionic calcium to somehow neutralize that acidic pH in your system. You can see how that's why there's a disruption of calcium signaling, and that leads to autoimmune disease. So with SAC, you can actually help mitigate that, right? It really restore your body pH to where it's supposed to be ideal, alkaline, slightly alkaline, 7.4. And also it has really good effects on a lot of things that go through mentally as well, right? So SAC is not just a targeted therapy, but it actually combats all the adverse effects of toxins and the stresses and the aging and all that actually comes down to disrupting the communication in our system, right? And it's calcium signaling. And SAC can go in and really help mitigate and then reverse the damage done to really help you maintain your optimal health.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Wolfe.
And just so everybody understands that when it comes to the SAC, it's not just another supplement. So we don't treat it that way. So it's not up in our shop that you can just go there and you can purchase it. Understand, and there are different SAC calciums. And understand, this is a therapy. And with a therapy, you deserve to have a coach. You deserve to have a guide. You deserve to have a practitioner that's going to be there to answer your questions and also find out what it is and what you really need and how you can work better with your practitioner. So what we want you to do is you can call us at 855-900-4544 and just know you can talk to my staff, but they're going to bring you back to me. My extension is number 5. And if you want, we'll discuss your situation and then we'll find the best formula, okay, so that you can get back your life. You can turn your life around. So understand something. This is a practitioner product. This is for practitioners who are going to be hands-on working with their patients. And that's the way this product is handled. So if you think you're interested, please go to my library and do your research on the SAC Calcium Guide. But you're still going to have to talk to me, okay? Because we want to make sure that you're getting the health that you truly deserve. What would you like to say about that, Jay?
Definitely agree with you. I cannot stress this any further. SAC is a therapy. It's not supplementation. It really has to be guided by the proper trained practitioners, because so many things are involved. And without that, they're paying a lot of money for this therapy, and then they do it the wrong way, right? And we don't want that to happen. So definitely recommend that you consult the qualified practitioners just like Dr. Wolfe. And I know Dr. Wolfe helped so many patients to recover, and we appreciate that, Dr. Wolfe.
Thank you. Understand something, that your success is our success. That's why in our library, you know, you can go to our library and you can see so many amazing things. Check out my A to Z masterclass, okay? This is going to teach you how calcium gets displaced, how scar tissue is created, how crystallization is created, how to reverse all that, why you don't need to limp, why you don't need a cane and walker or wheelchair. Okay, check out my Braveheart online emotional course. Right now, all my master classes are free until Christmas. So the reality is do your homework, do your research, but take massive personal action because it is your life. Okay? Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close off today, Jay?
Well, once again, thank you. Thank you for really helping us to really work with you. And especially we have done right before this advanced water fasting with SAC. I really hope that many people who are watching this really get the power of what fasting can do. I mean, it triggers autophagy and the stem cell activation. All of that, right? The benefits of doing fasting can be supercharged by doing SAC, because all of that depends on calcium signaling, right? So SAC can go for so many different conditions. But once again, please consult Dr. Wolfe for that. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today, Jay. And I will add this one thing, okay? So we do every 2 months, we do an advanced water fasting 6-day challenge. Go into my library and read the 6-day advanced water fasting guide and understand something. You are such more powerful than you think. You have no idea how you can unleash the healing when you do an advanced water fast. I am not kidding. And just know that when we do this 2 weeks prior to doing the 6-day advanced water fast, okay, I come on, I go over all the guidelines, and we teach you about going on to a perfect day diet, like a whole plant-based diet, how to detoxify your liver, your large intestine, and the rest of the detoxification organs to prepare for your fast. What exercises really help to increase circulation and really help to lengthen, strengthen, tone, and detoxify the body. This is all free to you, so understand that. And the next one will be in early January. But understand, no matter when you're watching this video, I do it every 2 months. So check our calendar out, okay? And check yourself out. Because you know what? Take control of your life. Create the perfect day. And understand, to have a perfect day, SAC calcium should be in that day. And like I said before, you can get rid of so many other supplementation when you start doing SAC Ionic Calcium therapy. I want to thank everybody for joining me. And like I said, check out the other videos in the SAC Calcium Guide in my library. And for those of you wondering, yes, we still are doing personal treatment and trainings. We're traveling all over the world still until they decide to shut us down. That's going to be on and off probably. But the reality is you can come to us or we'll come to you. We'll teach you how to do Wolfe non-surgical, or we'll teach you how to do the perfect day on an emotional, nutritional, okay, and a physical level. And for those of you who would like to get a perfect day consultation, go to my website, click on consultations. It's $150 lifetime. Okay, it's lifetime support. You got to get that. Everybody needs a guide. Everybody needs a coach. When you fill out your history, it comes to me. I go over it with the master consultant. They do an hour consult. They give you the audio. It's an hour audio. And then you're allowed to call us as much as you want. And remember something, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And when you become important, right, you will make phone calls. You will ask questions. And you will create the perfect day in every way. Okay, just know this. We have an upcoming course in January, and then we've got courses coming up in Ixtapa, Mexico, and we've got big plans for Ixtapa, Mexico, so we hope to see you down there. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining me. Just know that I have live Q&As almost every Monday, okay, where you can send in your questions, put them underneath right here, or you can come on live and send your questions in live, and I'll answer them for you. Anything from emotional to nutritional to physical to detox. All right? Listen, create the perfect day in every way. Keep a slight smile on your face. Connect to the lion heart breathing. Keep your shoulders back. Focus on what you want in your life. And when somebody tells you something ridiculous to do it and you don't want to, don't do it. Okay? Let's stand together. Let's not stand apart. Okay? And fill up your heart with love and shine that love on your family. 3, 2, 1. I know you got this. God bless. If you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.